century AD, the Western Roman Empire steadily disintegrated as hordes of barbaric invaders plundered its lands. In 476, the last Roman emperor abdicated the throne. To many, the Roman Empire had finally fallen.
But did it really? Did it really fall? Because at the same time, here in Constantinople, the Eastern Empire is thriving. It's prospering. And in 527 AD, an emperor named Justinian comes to the throne, who's not only completely committed to recodifying all of Roman law, he's bent on reconquering Constantine's empire.
Justinian I ruled during the Byzantine Empire's golden age. Yet the man who lusted after the glory of ancient Rome was actually an outsider.
Well, the Emperor Justinian was born a peasant in what is now northern Yugoslavia, and he came with his uncle Justin to Constantinople to seek their fortunes.
His 40-year reign would be marked by intellectual brilliance, an unparalleled work ethic, and ruthlessness. 2 years before ascending the throne, Justinian had married a beautiful, strong-willed woman named Theodora. But Justinian and Theodora ruled the empire as equals.
She must have been highly intelligent, and she must have been very wily, very successful at court politics.
Justinian quickly realized that his legacy would be built on restoring the bygone glory of ancient Rome. He began by reclaiming Western territories that had been lost over the years. Back in Constantinople, he embarked upon a frenzied construction spree.
Bad news is, to pay for this building, he went on a ballistic campaign of taxation, which was just as popular then as it probably would have been now. I have a lot of fans. But so what? He's an emperor. He's not listening to approval ratings. But you know what? He should have.
As Justinian tightened his rule, the city's resentment turned to rage. To voice their anger, the Byzantine masses took to the Hippodrome. The Hippodrome was the center of Constantinople's public life. Conceived as a stadium for chariot racing, it could hold as many as 100,000 people. Its construction had taken place over centuries, a colossal task that incorporated every known building technique. Shaped like an enormous U and modeled after Rome's renowned Circus Maximus, Constantinople's Hippodrome was 440 yards long and 130 yards wide. Above the substructure, 2 tiers of columns and more than 30 stone rows surrounded the sand-covered racing track. Like all Byzantine emperors before him, Justinian sat in an imperial box called the Kathisma, giving the Byzantine people a rare glimpse of their ruler.
It was a combination of sports stadium, public spectacle stadium, imperial propaganda, pulpit, all those things. It could seat huge numbers of people.
Huge bets were wagered by fans of the various teams, the blues, greens, reds, and whites.
They were like political. And so disputes over soccer results as today, or disputes over chariot races, could take on a significant political dimension in Byzantium.
The Hippodrome was one of the architectural glories of Constantinople. But in 532 AD, it became the site of one of the most brutal acts by an emperor against his people. One day in early January, Justinian, by now deeply unpopular thanks to his harsh policies and heavy taxes, appeared before a raucous crowd at the Hippodrome.
All of a sudden they came together, and they came together against the emperor. The ceremonial political center of the empire was right there, and you had tens of thousands of people opposed to the emperor right at the core of the empire.
The blues and the greens weren't like the Jets and the Sharks. They were factions that ran all the way from street thugs right up the political animal to the aristocracy. So when thousands and thousands of both blues and greens stormed the Hippodrome screaming, "Nika, Nika, win, win," against these horrible taxes, it would have been like both Republicans and Democrats storming the Super Bowl screaming about the same thing, which may not be a bad idea. The sad news is it turned into a riot, and the riot turned into mayhem, and a week later, a third of the city lay in ashes. Justinian was so scared he was about to pack his bags and split. But thank goodness for a strong woman.
I've got this far, I'm not giving up now, you know, stay and fight. So he did.
Theodora's words convinced Justinian. His response was calculated and horrifying. He dispatched his generals to gather a force and march to the Hippodrome.
The conclusion of the Nike riot is one of these events of biblical proportion. Justinian calls the rebels to meet in the Hippodrome, suggesting that he may compromise with them. But in fact, he gets them into the Hippodrome, closes the gates, and they are massacred by the imperial troops.
In the name of absolute power, his own. From the ruins of Constantinople would rise one of the world's most magnificent churches, the centerpiece for a new religion and a monument to Byzantine engineering.